HANA Cooperation Limited was established in 2003 based on extensive experience in construction site from the past 30 years and is now special manufacturer in planning and producing automatic iron rod binders. As an outcome of the constant challenges and our efforts, we have succeeded in developing the automatic iron rod binder, R-binder, which binds iron bars by endless track drive equipment, the first in the world. The R-binder, which is the main product of HANA Cooperation Limited, usually takes about 2 seconds to bind a section, and as the whole weight including battery and binding line is only 1.8 kilograms, it is the handy drive equipment that is really fast, light, and convenient. Existing domestic iron bar technical equipment usually takes 1 day to bind the maximum 1,800 to 2,000 parts. However, since automatic iron rod binder of HANA Cooperation Limited R-binder usually takes 1 day to bind 4,000 to 5,000 parts, that will make for 2 or 3 times higher efficiency. Owing to simple operation, even a beginner can simply use it. This is an enormous strength which will reduce the cost of construction such as labor. Since there is the main body, filling machine, battery charger, exclusive use binding line, spare equipment set and operational equipment custody belt, and product manual in the automatic iron rod binder R-binder 1 set, takes care of users' convenience. Firstly, let's learn about name and function of the main parts of the R-binder. The carrier plays a role to spin the track with wire. As a safety valve is used as a safety measure. Without pressing it, even if the trigger is pulled, it does not work. Pressing once with the safety valve on the ironing bar, it will open normally. The inspection globe signals the warning sign when it does not work or malfunctions because of inserting a foreign element in the sphere. It is a part that helps remove foreign elements from inside easily. Bobbin is a part which the wire, exclusive use binding line, is wound up. Exclusive use binding wire has 3 kinds of line, being 0.9 mm, 1 mm, and 1.1 mm. The thicker the line is, the stronger the binding power. The 0.9 mm wire can bind 360 parts. The 1 mm wire can bind 300 parts, and the 1.1 mm wire can bind 280 parts. The LED lamp is a lamp which indicates the on-off status of the product. The residual quality of battery and the number of twisters rotations. The upper red lamp indicates a number of twisters rotation. The downward yellow lamp indicates residual quantity, and in the case of defect or malfunction of product, the lamp lets users know through a warning signal and makes a buzz sound. Control switch of twister rotation, set 1, set 2, increases the number of rotation in the case of pressing set 1 button and decreases in the case of pressing set 2 button. 14.5 to 10.5 rotation from left can of lamp will work, and the middle can, 12.5 rotation, is the standard number of rotation. The test switch is a piece of equipment which inspects the defect malfunction of the product. When checking the operation of the carrier after pressing safety valve, press the test switch to check operation. A lithium polymer battery is used. Compared to NiCad or mercury batteries, the capacity is much more superior. The lithium polymer battery is less than half the weight of the existing batteries. Whereas existing batteries bind 300 parts per charge, this battery can bind 900 to 1,000 parts. Existing batteries could only charge or discharge 450 to 500 times. The lithium polymer battery can charge/discharge up to 1,000 times. The efficiency is higher and durability is longer. Above all, for the first time in the world, this lithium polymer battery is applied to and used in the equipment produced by our company. The usage method of the R-binder is as follows. Firstly, let's learn how to install the binding wire. First of all, switch main switch to off. After detaching battery, put a ring on the upper part of the bobbin plate pin, then install the bobbin. After pulling out about 10 centimeters of binding wire, unfolding the straight line, push about 10 centimeters of the binding wire into the binding hole. Install the battery and switch the main switch to on. Then, place it on the ironing bar, after pulling the trigger 2 or 3 times. If it is banded in the ironing bar tightly, installation is completed. Secondly, let's learn how to operate this product. After making sure the main switch is turned off, install the battery in the body. After switching the main switch to on and making sure on is indicated on the LED lamp, push the vertical hem to the binding point, making sure the safety valve is pressed completely. Pull the trigger to the last point lightly and let go of it immediately. Once pulling the trigger once, the automatically binding wire is sent and binds the bar at the shortest distance. It is twisted after cutting the binding wire. Thirdly, let's learn how to exchange the binding wire. After switching the main switch to off and detaching the battery from the body, cut the binding wire in the bobbin with nippers. After pulling the safety valve backwards, operate the trigger 2 to 3 times. During that time, if the trigger is not working, operate twister a little by hand. When the binding wire comes out of the twister, pull it out by hand or long-nose pliers. Having completed these steps, install the binding wire in accordance with the binding wire installation method. Fourthly, let's learn about the time to exchange the battery. During working time, when the lower part of the yellow light on the LED lamp decreases from number of 5 and it becomes the number of 2, it will make a buzz in order to let users know the time to exchange. After this time, turn the main switch off and exchange the battery. Fifthly, let's know about binding way. As binding power could be different in accordance with selection of method and binding wire. In order to make binding power strong, after making sure of the upper bar and lower bar, move the fleeting binding part of the eye binder. In order to make binding power strong, after making sure of the upper bar and lower bar, move the fleeting binding part of the eye binder to the center, 45 degrees of the crossbar. After putting the lower bar in the light of the eye binder and placing the upper bar in the left of the eye binder, pull and bind trigger by leaning the binding equipment from vertical to 20 degrees. At this time, make the fleeting of binding equipment attached to the upper part of the bar. Push the safety valve to the end and bind it through. Pull and push trigger once. Constantly pulling the trigger may result in malfunction or defect. Lastly, let's know how to use the step. During bar binding, the safety valve is sometimes not pressed. At this time, use step by inserting it in the upper part of the safety bin. The steps are as follows. There are 3 types of steps: 7 cm, 5 cm, and 3 cm. Let's learn about the first aid of the automatic iron rod binder, R binder, of Hanna Cooperation Limited. In the event of the carrier stopping in the binding equipment, AM, and continuously sounding the warning signal, try to operate it by pressing the test switch. If the carrier does not work, switch the main switch to off and detach the battery. After looking over the inspection globe back and forth and making sure that the fraction of binding wire is inserted in the carrier, gear, and belt, remove it by ripper or long-nose pliers. After inserting the battery, switch the main switch to on. Then, press the test switch. When carrier is working normally, management is completed. Next, there is a case which the binding wire is wound up in the twister. If working the machine without bar or object, binding wire may be wound up in the twister. Switch the main switch to off, removing it by long-nose pliers or nippers. After turning the main switch back to on, inspect the operating condition through pressing the test switch and rotating the carrier. Lastly, there is a case which the binding line is caught in between the bobbin and the carrier without making sure of the binding wire residual quality of bobbin. At first, after switching the main switch off and removing the battery, cut the binding wire of bobbin. When the binding wire shows up through the rotating carrier by force, pull it with a pair of long-nose pliers. At this time, after changing the bobbin, inserting battery, switching the main switch on, and operating the test switch, the process is completed. After the automatic iron rod binder, R binder of Hanna Company Limited, registered for PCT, International Patent, currently application of the patent is completed in Europe, China, Japan, and the US. This product is an excellent product in the international and domestic market, which registration of patent for automatic binding equipment and binding line was achieved and acquired CE certification. Based on the creative and challenging spirit of business culture, our company, Hannah Cooperation Limited, will continuously strive to create more convenient and superior products.